Not me today, bro.
What's up, Justin?
You know what's up. Don't get in
The night was chaos. Flashbulbs erupted like tiny explosions in the dark, the kind that don't just light a face but expose a downfall. Justin, do you have anything to say? And the paparazzi screamed. He didn't answer. Hoodie pulled over his head, fists clenched, eyes bloodshot. He tried to push through the crowd, but something snapped. He turned, lunged, and punched the camera straight on. A crack, a gasp, blood. That image of Justin Bieber lashing out in public went viral in seconds. Headlines roared, "Justin Bieber's breakdown caught on camera." It was the kind of moment the internet feeds on. A teen idol, now a cautionary tale. A punch that echoed far beyond the street. But scroll back a few years, and that same boy was lighting up stages, not cameras. A cherubic face singing "Baby" with millions of fans chanting every word. He was the world's pop prince, a YouTube miracle, the voice of a generation. The smile? Untouchable. The future? Limitless. So what happened? What turns a teenage prodigy into a tabloid regular? What poisons the dream so thoroughly that it collapses in full view of the world? And maybe the more brutal question, was it ever really his dream to begin with? Before the headlines, before the scandals, before the rage in front of the camera, there was a little boy with a second-hand drum kit and a dream. Justin Drew Bieber was born on the 1st of March, 1994, in Stratford, Ontario. His mother, Patty Millett, was just 18 when she had him alone, broke, and deeply religious. She raised Justin in low-income housing, working odd jobs to keep them afloat, relying on food banks and local churches for support. His father, Jeremy, was in and out of his life, leaving Patty to carry the weight of raising a child with enormous talent and no roadmap. From the very beginning, Justin was different. He wasn't just musical, he was music. He taught himself drums at 4, then piano, then guitar, then trumpet. By the age of 10, he was performing on street corners for coins, covering Usher and Stevie Wonder, while his mum filmed him on a shaky handheld camera. Those early YouTube uploads, raw, unfiltered, caught fire. Not millions of views at first, but enough to stir curiosity, enough to change a life. In Atlanta, talent manager Scooter Braun came across a video of 12-year-old Justin belting out "So Sick" by Ne-Yo. He couldn't look away. Within weeks, he flew Justin and Patty to the US, where fate kicked into overdrive. Usher met him. So did L.A. Reid. And just like that, the Canadian street performer was now signed to Island Records. He was 13 years old. He hadn't even hit puberty. For most kids, that's the age of Little League and sleepovers. For Justin, it was vocal lessons, label meetings, and choreography rehearsals. His adolescence wasn't delayed, it was deleted. They moved to America, left everything behind. Patty, ever protective, tried to shield him from the darker side of fame. But even she couldn't stop what was coming. The moment his debut single "One Time" dropped in 2009, Justin's life became unrecognizable. Girls screamed his name in malls. Grown men in suits bet millions on his future. YouTube exploded with his face. The boy with the swoop haircut and flawless falsetto wasn't just a singer, he was a brand, a movement, a global product. And through it all, he kept smiling. But behind that grin was a quiet unraveling. Justin was still a kid sleeping on buses, missing school, enduring 15-hour days on tour, posing for photos with strangers while craving the one thing he was no longer allowed to be: ordinary. Classmates faded into memories. Real friendships became rare. Everyone wanted a piece of the golden boy, but no one stopped to ask if the golden boy was okay. There's a video from this time, an early backstage clip, where Justin, exhausted after a show, curls into a chair and asks his mum, "Can we just go home?" But there was no home anymore. Just stages, studios, spotlights, and none of them were built for a 13-year-old boy. By the time he was 16, Justin Bieber wasn't just famous, he was everywhere. His debut album, My World 2.0, had exploded. Baby wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. At its peak, the music video was the most viewed clip in YouTube's history, clocking hundreds of millions of views and sparking both obsession and backlash in equal measure. The mop of perfectly swooped hair became a cultural icon. The hoodie, the sneakers, the voice, every inch of him was merchandised, mimicked, and monetized. He sold out arenas across continents. Madison Square Garden sold out in 22 minutes. His fans, dubbed Beliebers, didn't just admire him, they worshipped him. Young girls wept at concerts. Entire Twitter accounts were dedicated to tracking his every move. The hysteria was Beatlemania for the internet age, except this time the cameras never turned off. With global tours came private jets, 5-star hotels, and convoys of black SUVs. He lived in a $6 million mansion in Calabasas. He hung out with rappers, NBA stars, and supermodels. He had his own documentary, Never Say Never, which grossed nearly $100 million worldwide. He was invited to the White House, courted by brands, and featured on every major magazine cover. He wasn't just a teen idol, he was a global commodity. But with that came a different kind of prison. Every public smile masked fatigue. Every red carpet appearance came with calculated precision. The people closest to him weren't friends, but handlers, stylists, publicists, bodyguards. Everyone had a job, everyone was paid, and everyone expected the golden goose to keep laying. Bieber's fame became self-sustaining and increasingly self-consuming. Cameras followed him into restaurants, into airports, into restrooms. Fans pounded on his hotel windows at 3 a.m. He couldn't go outside without being mobbed. There was no privacy, no silence, just flashbulbs and screaming. He began dating Selena Gomez, America's sweetheart, and fellow Disney alum. Their romance was magnetic, chaotic, and breathlessly covered by every media outlet imaginable. They were young, famous, and in love, or trying to be under a microscope. The world treated their relationship like public property, dissecting every breakup, every cryptic Instagram post, every paparazzi photo. And while Justin smiled through it all, the cracks were forming beneath the surface. He was now a teenage multimillionaire with global fame, unlimited access, and zero boundaries. The kid from Stratford had conquered the world, but the world, as it always does, wanted more. It didn't happen overnight. The unraveling came slowly, almost invisibly, like a thread tugged loose at the edge of a perfectly tailored suit. To the outside world, Justin was still the poster boy of teen pop, charming and untouchable. But behind the scenes, the boy who once asked if he could go home was starting to lose control of where home even was. The pressure to perform, to be everything for everyone, was relentless. His schedule was brutal: international tours, press junkets, endless promo runs. He was still a teenager, but there were no breaks, no weekends, no quiet, and the fame that once looked like a dream now felt like a vice tightening around his chest. He started acting out subtly at first, skipping rehearsals, storming off set, showing up late to interviews, sometimes not at all. In one clip from a 2012 London show, he fainted backstage. Dehydration, they said, but his team was already whispering about burnout, exhaustion, anxiety. He was also experimenting, not with drugs yet, but with rebellion, fast cars, late nights, friends who didn't answer to anyone. He bought a pet monkey and tried to smuggle it into Germany. He spray-painted walls in South America. He spit off hotel balconies and laughed when fans scrambled below to catch his saliva. The headlines called it bad boy behavior, but it was something more raw than that. It was a teenager trying to reclaim control in a world that left him none. Then came the social media rants, tweets in all caps, Instagram posts with cryptic captions, lyrics that hinted at deeper unrest. In one interview he said, "I just want to be normal. I just want to go eat at a diner and not be followed." But normal was long gone and maybe never existed for him at all. The relationship with Selena began to fracture. Breakups turned to reunions, turned to breakups again. Fans took sides. The press fed on it. Rumors swirled about jealousy, about fights, about heartbreak. In a backstage moment caught on camera, he slammed a door after reading a headline about their split. No one asked if he was okay. And then there was the night in London, March 2013. Justin emerged from a hotel surrounded by paparazzi. Cameras flashed, voices screamed. A photographer shouted something no one remembers what. Justin lunged, had to be physically restrained by his security. He yelled, "I'll beat the fout of you." It was a moment, a snapshot, but it was also a warning. The thread had been pulled, and the suit once perfect, pristine was beginning to come apart. What came next wasn't a scandal. It was a landslide. Between 2013 and 2015, Justin Bieber went from teen icon to tabloid poison. The boy who once sold out Madison Square Garden in minutes was now being escorted out of clubs by police, booked for criminal offenses, and mocked across late-night television. His clean-cut image crumbled, and what emerged beneath it wasn't a villain. It was a young man unraveling in full view of the world. It began with the arrests. In January 2014, Justin was pulled over in Miami for drag racing in a yellow Lamborghini. The breathalyzer showed he was under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, and Xanax. He was 19. Mugshots of him smiling flooded the internet within hours. The media tore him apart. A former child star turned reckless punk. The golden boy had turned gold-plated. Then came the egging incident. Yes, eggs. Justin and friends pelted his neighbor's house with them, causing thousands in damages. He was charged with misdemeanor vandalism, ordered to pay restitution, attend anger management, and perform community service. It would have been laughable if it weren't so painfully pathetic. A pop star, once adored by millions, now reduced to neighborhood hooligan. The stories stacked up like wreckage. Smashing cell phones of photographers, storming off stage mid-show, fighting a fan in Barcelona. He urinated in a restaurant mop bucket while mocking a portrait of Bill Clinton. That footage? It went viral too. Everything did. His inner circle changed. Gone were the polished professionals of the early years. In their place, enablers, party boys, hang-ons, men with cameras, and no boundaries. Justin was surrounded, but he was alone. He also began losing his grasp on reality. In interviews, he fluctuated between defensiveness and disconnection. He apologized for past actions, then repeated them weeks later. "I'm not who I was," he told one interviewer. But who was he now? The relationship with Selena had imploded publicly and painfully. Fans dug through every lyric, every tweet, every Instagram post. The heartbreak was raw, but it wasn't private. Selena spoke openly about the emotional toll. Justin remained mostly silent until he didn't. He'd post photos of them together with no caption, or suddenly delete his Instagram altogether, sparking panic among millions. In 2015, he tried to course correct. His album Purpose was a commercial and critical success. Songs like Sorry and Love Yourself showed maturity, reflection. For a brief moment, it looked like he was back. But stability doesn't last long when you've never known what it looks like. That same year, he broke down crying on stage at the VMAs. He later explained the moment. "I felt judged. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. It was vulnerable, human." But behind the tears was a deeper truth. He was drowning in expectations he couldn't possibly meet. Then came the tour. The Purpose World Tour started strong, but as the months dragged on, Justin began cancelling meet and greets, citing emotional exhaustion. Fans were furious. Some paid thousands to see him. Others began turning on him. Videos surfaced of him appearing bored on stage, barely singing, walking off mid-performance. In one viral clip, a fan threw a water bottle on stage. Justin stopped the show. "Don't throw things at me," he snapped, then left. In July 2017, he cancelled the remaining 14 shows. His team cited unforeseen circumstances. Behind closed doors, the truth was darker. Justin was exhausted, anxious, lost. He spoke of spiritual emptiness, of feeling like a product, not a person. The media had one word for it: meltdown. But that was too simple. This wasn't just a fall from grace. It was a slow, public disintegration of identity, of innocence, of everything he had been forced to carry since childhood. A system built him, then bled him, then spat him out the moment he stopped smiling. The world had seen him collapse. What it hadn't seen, what played out, away from flashing cameras, was how deep the damage went. Justin wasn't just exhausted or overexposed. He was unwell. And for the first time, even he seemed to understand that. In 2018, after a brief hiatus from the spotlight, Justin Bieber re-emerged. But something was off. He looked thin, his movements slower. His eyes, once full of boyish charm, seemed haunted. Rumors swirled. Was it drugs? Was it mental illness? He confirmed neither. But the signs were everywhere. The smiles came less often. The silence, more. That year, he shocked fans by abruptly marrying Hailey Baldwin in a courthouse ceremony with no warning. The public was still fixated on Selena Gomez, whose own struggles with lupus, kidney failure, and emotional health had reached headlines months earlier. Their history romantic, traumatic, inescapable, hung over the wedding like a shadow. The internet erupted. Selena's fans accused Hailey of manipulation. Justin fired back online. He was defensive, paranoid, angry. Then came the admissions. In a rare and raw 2019 Instagram post, Justin opened up. He confessed to heavy drug use. He spoke of abusing relationships, disrespecting women, and relying on sex and pills to fill a void that kept growing. I started doing pretty heavy drugs at 19 and abused all my relationships, he wrote. I became resentful, disrespectful to women, and angry. It wasn't a headline. It was a confession. In a YouTube docuseries that followed, he revealed more. He'd been diagnosed with Lyme disease and chronic mono, which affected his energy and brain function. He also admitted to severe anxiety and depression. He couldn't sleep without popping pills, couldn't wake up without THC in his system. Some days, his team would check to make sure he was still breathing. The boy who once charmed the world had turned into a prisoner of his own fame, held captive not by fans or paparazzi, but by the demons that fame had helped breed. There were moments that bordered on tragic, like the footage of Justin crying in a car after a therapy session, or the viral video of him twitching and trembling outside a building, Hailey trying desperately to calm him. Speculation ran rampant. Was he overdosing? Was he having a breakdown? His team denied everything, but the images lingered. And yet, the most devastating part of Justin's collapse wasn't what was captured, it was what wasn't. The quiet nights, the internal war, the realization that everything he once thought he wanted, the fame, the money, the global worship, had led him to a place so dark, he couldn't even see his own reflection. He wasn't performing. He wasn't recording. He wasn't making headlines. He was disappearing. Justin Bieber's downfall wasn't just personal, it was cultural. His story became more than a celebrity tragedy. It was a mirror held up to the machinery of fame and the society that fuels it. We watched a child grow up in real time, not in the quiet safety of adolescence, but under a microscope. Every pimple, every heartbreak, every mistake scrutinized, recorded, monetized. He wasn't just a teen idol. He was a case study in what happens when we treat fame like a birthright and vulnerability like a spectacle. Justin's collapse forced uncomfortable questions. What do we demand from our celebrities? At what point does fascination become exploitation? He had millions of fans but no privacy. He made millions of dollars but couldn't walk down a street without being mobbed. His life was a product, and we were all buyers. And then there's the system behind him. The industry didn't just promote him, it consumed him. Managers, labels, publicists, security teams, brands. Everyone had a stake in the Bieber brand. Everyone made money off the boy with the hair and the falsetto. But when he started to fracture, where were they? Who exactly protected
with
him?
accolades
Even
pouring
media
in left
coverage
and right,
played its part.
including
Every
being
misstep
Mrs.,
was clickbait.
featuring
Every
collaborations with
breakdown was
A-listers
ratings.
like Miley Cyrus and
TMZ followed
Kanye
his
West.
every move. Daily Mail dissected his face, his
In
clothes,
2011,
his
the
relationships,
music world
and
was
when he cracked, they didn't flinch, they zoomed in. It's easy to vilify Justin for his past. He broke laws, disrespected people, made reckless choices. But it's harder and more honest to admit we helped build the stage he fell from. He wasn't created in a vacuum. He was a product of a world that turns children into stars and then blames them when they fall apart. But out of that wreckage came a shift. His honesty about addiction, depression, and faith opened doors for broader conversations about mental health, especially among men and especially in the music industry. Where once vulnerability was weakness, Justin made it part of his comeback. He showed that healing isn't linear, that surviving fame can be just as brutal as achieving it. His story, in the end, isn't just about him, it's about us. About what we expect, what we consume, and what we refuse to look away from, even when it hurts. The image that opened this story, a young man lashing out at flashing cameras, fury in his eyes, and pain behind his fists, feels different now. Not as a moment of disgrace, but as a scream for help no one was ready to hear. Justin Bieber didn't just fall from grace. He was pushed, pulled, packaged, and sold until there was nothing left but exhaustion and resentment. And yet, he's still here. That alone defies the script most young stars are handed. He didn't vanish. He didn't die. He didn't implode and stay broken. Instead, he stepped back, publicly unraveled, and began slowly, painfully to rebuild. Today, Justin isn't the flawless teen idol we once screamed for. He's something harder to define, A man learning to live with scars carved in front of the world. He still struggles. He still disappears sometimes. But he's trying. Therapy, marriage, faith, music again, but on his own terms. Not for headlines, not for hits, just to breathe. There's something sobering about that. We're used to redemptions that come with glitter and Grammys. But this one? It's quiet, uneven, real. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe the cautionary tale wasn't about drugs or tantrums or fame. Maybe it's about what happens when we forget the people we adore are still human. That they bleed. That they break. That even a pop prince can get lost in a kingdom that never let him grow up. So what now? You tell us, was Justin Bieber just another child chewed up by the machine of celebrity? Or was he one of the few to crawl out of it alive, damaged, but still fighting? Let us know what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you've ever looked at someone in the spotlight and judged before, asking what they were carrying, maybe this is your reminder to pause. Because under the spotlight, even the brightest stars can burn.